Okay, great. So good morning, everyone. I'm happy to see you all here for this next Alliances for Action webinar to support the ACP and Caribbean countries in the region to increase the competitiveness and to find new markets, which is the topic for today. We're going to be focusing on the coconut US market. We have the pleasure to have here our colleague Derek Newbow, who is also from the Caribbean, but in the Colombian side of it. He has also actually began a coconut business before, and he's a successful entrepreneur in the US, where he has really he has been struggling to create his own brand. He has gone to meet different challenges. He has faced the US market and has a lot of experience for us to share today. So the format for the presentation today, for the webinar today, is that Derek will begin presenting on draft results of a coconut US market study that we are developing. This is thanks to the Alliance for Action project in the Caribbean that is funded by the European Union and also co-organized by the CARI Forum and the OACPS. And of course, that we are working with the support of the regional institutions such as CARDI and then the national institutions in each of the country. We are developing this study on the US coconut market that we would like to share with you. And Derek will now share the draft results that will help us guide the final version of the report and also look forward to hear your inputs, your feedback, your questions, so we can incorporate in this last version of the study. So we will allow Derek to perform his presentation. Please, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to put it in the chat or raise your hand, and we will try to ask the questions. Otherwise, if you can wait for the end, it will be great, so we can have an interactive section of Q&A after Derek's presentation. So without further ado, I will pass to Derek, who will present these draft results of the US market study. And we look forward for an interactive section with all of you. And we hope you enjoy the content that we will be sharing today. So Derek, over to you. Please go ahead.
Well, first of all, good morning to everyone. Thank you, William, for the introduction. Very nice one. As William mentioned, yeah, an entrepreneur just like y'all. I started in Colombia with, so you can know a little bit of my background and who is talking to you, so you know it's a peer that struggles just like you. So I started in Colombia 11 years ago. I had a raw coconut water plant. And then after a while, we moved to the US after 3 years. And since then, this happened in 2013 until now. We've been growing and getting into places and different supermarkets and kind of know the path to go. And I want to share my experience with you so you can cut through that path and go faster and don't go through all the struggle I had. So I'll cut your struggle to the half, right? That's my goal with this one. So as William just mentioned, the idea is I'll try to do my presentation as clear as possible. If you don't understand something that I say, it's not probably because you don't understand the business, it's probably because of my accent. So feel free to ask me again, right? Let me just share, let's start by sharing my presentation today. There you go. Now, so today we'll be talking about the coconut trends in the US. This is a very important part of selling, of having a successful product and a successful company. It's about what is really people looking for, what consumers are willing to buy, and how much are they willing to pay for that. So let's start a presentation with a small introduction of, let me see, this is not moving. 1 second, please. There you go. So let's start out. We're gonna have four main subjects. We're gonna start with what is raw. And for this, I'm gonna show you two examples of what we consider raw. Oh, sorry about that. Secondly, we're going to what is the best process to produce a raw product, or what we consider raw. In this case, I've chosen, hold on, let me just, okay. I've chosen the coconut water and the coconut milk. I'm sorry, for the high pressure process is basically the background, so you can understand what it's all about, the high pressure process, how it works, how can you incorporate this process to your production, what packaging works with this process, and what is the food types you can pack with this process. Then we're going to talk about something we entrepreneurs love talking about, is innovation. How can you innovate in your product to reach out to the US market and succeed? And then I chose three different products. That's cosmetic coconut oil, the coconut chips, and a trend that I will like to say I'm one of the pioneers with the coconut and the collagen industry, and how you can have consumers excited with mixes and flavors and packaging. And then finally, very, very important, we need to talk about the US market distribution structure from the Caribbean to the US until go to shelves into stores. So let's begin. If you have any question, do not hesitate. As William said, just write it on the chat or raise your hand, and definitely we'll try to stop and answer these questions. So the first thing, I'd like you to take a look at this data analysis. It's a statistic description of what people finds value. So it's very important to understand where value stands within a product or within a service. In this case, products made from coconut. So if you look at the chart, you're gonna realize organic and all natural, vegan, there are over 50% consumers are willing to pay more for a product that has one of these four characteristics: organic, all natural, vegan, vegetarian. Then the chart kind of goes down when it comes to probiotics, antioxidants, non-GMOs, but still is a very, very important level of interest of paying more for products that has this characteristics. So you need the characteristics. You need to be, for it to be labeled on your sleeves, on your labels, that brings credibility to your product, that consumers know that what they're consuming is what they're looking for. So that's very important. Sometimes we just tend to believe because it's already natural, people understand it's natural, or because you grew it at your farm and was totally organic, that people understands that. Unfortunately, the only person that understands that is the entrepreneur, not the market. So it needs to be very, very well explained, very well displayed on your sleeves, on your labels, so that consumers know what you're talking about. So this being said, all of this characteristics, what they describe is what we now understand as a wellness product. So we're going to talk about your opportunity to bring your product into US market, thinking about your product as a wellness product. If you think of your product as a product for the masses, then I believe the Caribbean stands from zero to no chance to succeed in this market, because you're going to be competing with big producers, coconut producers from Asia. You're going to be producers with mass production that lower the cost of a product, that in the Caribbean, we are not able to do that. You'll be competing with freight that, because we're so close from the US, we tend to believe that freight costs should be cheaper, but in reality, it's complicated and it's expensive. So the path to go, if you are a coconut grower or you're developing a coconut product, is wellness. Think about wellness. Think about a market specialized in specialties foods and goods, and not the massive, because in the massive you're going to stand no chance. Um, then let's talk about what is raw. So I tried uh, to wrap what raw will be for mainly a product that you could understand what is raw. Like if you are from Trinidad and Tobago, you might know, or in the Caribbean, we sell coconut water that is refrigerated, and we just call it natural coconut water. Here, that coconut water is called raw. So what makes it raw? So raw is a food that's considered, if it never had been heated over 104 to 118 Fahrenheit, that's for our language, 40 to 48 Celsius. It should also not be refined, pasteurized, treated with pesticides, or otherwise processed in any way. So raw tends to keep the product with the same taste, consistency, and also keep nutrients. So that's very important. And uh, wellness trend is a trend that's been growing, but since the pandemic, people are more conscious. They're more educated on ingredients, on what raw is, what organic is, and they're looking at the nutrition facts. So for me and for the Caribbean, that is a total advantage, because there is a market that we can penetrate because we have the ability to produce this type of products in the Caribbean. Because as I said, if you go through the trend of raw and you keep those margins of profit high for a production in the Caribbean that's going to be high to produce, high to transport, and high to distribute because of the amount, the path maybe will be go wellness and go raw. So what products can you do when you go raw? So I think the best example for all of us to understand is what we call raw coconut water. This company is called Harmless Harvest. Harmless Harvest, from the beginning, they started in 2009. 2009, in the Caribbean, we already had raw coconut water, that's refrigerated coconut water, as I mentioned, Mayaro Fresh. That's a reference in Trinidad and Tobago for those that know the brand. And they used to sell these 2 liters cold raw coconut water, and the color was transparent as it is, as we know young coconut water is. And it was delicious. 2 liters, you have it in the fridge for 21 days. FIO with the West Indies University developed the whole best practices to keep that coconut water safe in a cold chain process for max 21 days. Myself, I had a company. I built a production plant that we used to do raw coconut water, and or shelf life was just 11 days. And the good part of the story is that that coconut water that we had wouldn't even last 5 days in the refrigerators, because the movement was so fast that we never were able to keep up with the demand of the product. That's one of the reasons why we moved out from this island where I'm from originally. It's called San Andres and Providence. It's in Colombia, but it's different. And we moved because we couldn't keep up with the demand, right? So Harmless Harvest was bought out in 2017 by Danone. If you're familiar with companies that are big in the food industry, Danone Manifesto Ventures is a huge one. They're French, and they've been in business for a long time. And in 2009, they started looking at new trends, and they start making investments in small companies. At the time, they were small, and in 2009, they invested in Harmless Harvest. 2017, Danone went and is the biggest stakeholder right now of Harmless Harvest, but back in the day, they put in a $30 million investment to grow the company, to grow the brand. Harmless Harvest can be found in mainly in all specialty supermarkets, grocery stores here in the US right now. And the thing is that I mentioned that in the past, I could just take my product to shelves for 11 days. That was the shelf life, right? In the fridges. Harmless Harvest was the first one in 2009 to take the risk with this new technology called high pressure process. It was new for us. The technology has been around since the 1900s, 1700s, 1800s, I think. And it was well developed. The first machine came into the US in 1996. And they took the risk. Originally, these products come from Thailand, but it comes fresh. It has to go cold through the cold chain as well. But here is the catch. They extended the coconut shelf life for 4 months. Imagine one of us, or if there is anyone right now doing a raw coconut water, being able to extend the shelf life to 4 months. I mean, the way that raw coconut water moves in shelves is extraordinary. I haven't seen any product that moves so fast as this one, even though the price point is $3.99 for a bottle of 12 ounce. I mean, that's expensive for the US for such a small amount of liquid. And during this process, they found out, I don't know if you ever seen when you leave a young coconut on the sun, in the sun, when you cut it and you serve the water comes out pink. And it's because there is a chemical process that goes on, and that chemical process turns the transparent coconut water into pink. So when you go through high pressurization process, the water turns pink, right? So at the beginning, they struggled a lot because they wanted to explain to people what was going on without telling people we are doing high pressure process. So they don't want to reveal their secret, but they want to tell people it's normal. This is what happens when. Finally, they ended up putting in the back of their sleeves the explanation of why the coconut water turned pink, and they capitalized this characteristic on their advantage. Right now, like mainly all coconut water companies, the color of their brand is normally either green or blue. These guys, they turn the whole thing around. Now their color of their brand is pink. So whenever you see pink, like this pops up in your head, like, oh, Harmless Harvest. So they did an excellent job. And this is for all of us to learn that sometimes what is so rare is what makes us so special. And I'm saying this because coconut water from the Caribbean, it's different. Our culture, it's different. And that is what we need to capitalize and explain it in the easiest way to consumers, especially the wellness consumer that appreciate that kind of characteristic and differentiation. Now, Caribbean coconut, the taste is different, and from the Thai coconut and from the Pacific coconut. And it all begins from origin. Our coconut comes more from India, not from the Pacific Islands as Philippines or Indonesia, or not from Thailand. So those type of coconuts are super sweet, has a lot of sugar in them. Our coconut are not that sweet. So those are characteristics that we need to capitalize and explain in our product to consumers. Right now, the enemy for any wellness product is sugar. People are looking for products either low in sugar, no sugar free, or no sugar, no added sugar. So this is just for y'all that if you're in the coconut water industry or thinking about bottling coconut water, think about the differences that makes us so special. That's rare is that makes us special. And for you to relate with what I'm saying, I want you to think about the Angostura bitters. Angostura bitters, if you remember of seeing their packaging, the packaging is that their sleeves comes out from the normal where place where it should be fitted. The sleeve is kind of slacky and how do I explain? It's not. It's bigger than the container. That's so rare. I haven't seen nothing like that. And the explanation is that back in the days in Trinidad and Tobago, they had to send and make the package, I mean, the sleeves on the whole packaging to another country, basically USA. So when the sleeves arrived to Trinidad and Tobago before going into market, the sleeves were too big for the packaging they had chosen. However, they had to go out to the market because they had been committed with customers, with clients to deliver XY date. So they just said, you know what, let's do it. Let's just put the packaging. And they did the packaging, and the packaging was so rare. They realized that was something that made them different. And that was in the 1900s until now, 1940, something like that. Until now, is the same package, and it's something that stays in your mind because they found out that that rareness that was a disadvantage at the moment, at the time, look as a disadvantage, turned out to be their advantage. So whatever is happening in your company right now, whatever you're developing when developing your product, think about what makes you different, what makes you rare, and try to exploit that rareness. This being said, let's pass to the next product. Okay, so this is very important. So in the coconut-based beverages are one of the fastest growing segment, predicted to increase 8.6% between 2020 and 2027. So here is an analytic that shows you the coconut water size in the US from 2013 to 2024. This is in billions of dollars. So just one product, just look at it. So there is enough for everyone. So if you're thinking about what product you should be pushing, maybe coconut water is the fastest growing trend out of all coconut products. So there is still a piece of pie for you if you're thinking about going into this market, but just keep in mind what I just said before. That's going to be what's going to take you further here in the US market and will make you a successful brand. Now let's go to the coconut milk. We tend to use the coconut water, then we don't know what to do with the pulp or the cobra. So there is some people that they did something very nice. So this brand is called Khalifa. So Khalifa is a queen. They named the brand because of was a warrior queen, a legend in Spain, and the CEO of the company, Greg, he named it Khalifa because Khalifa used to live in this beautiful island called California. So the brand comes from California. And what is different of this brand is that they have exciting flavors. They just don't meet, even though the most sold coconut milk is the plain, he made his brand excited by flavors and by a better packaging. Now, this coconut milk, as any other dairy, or other milk, needs to be treated as such. So you need to pasteurize this product. What they did different is they did something between the raw and the pasteurization process. So what they use is a fast pasteurization process. It's called flash pasteurization process. Basically, you just go through 4 seconds, 3 to 4 seconds, keep the nutrients, keep the same flavors, and they're doing it. It needs to be a refrigerator always. It needs to be in the chain, cold chain all of the time. But they're new products. He just got an investment of $17 million for his new plant out in California. And I'm telling you these numbers is because it's for you to keep in mind that if your product is good, if you have certain amount of success, you're gonna get the money from an investor or from whoever it takes to push your brand. But you need to have the right product. Okay, so plant-based milks now accounts for 10% of the total market of milks. Okay. Is the fastest growing category. It grew 5% the last year, and it accounts for a $2 billion industry. Why people are going to plant-based milk? Well, there are concerns of the planet, a lot of lactose intolerance, and that's basically why it's growing so fast. Coconut water, it's actually not the first one in the category. Plant-based milk, number one, plant-based milk will be almond, the second followed by oat milk, then soy milk, and finally pea milk, for coconut to be the fifth. So let's see the numbers of coconut milk. So these are the numbers. Hold on just a second. I'm just trying to move this chart away. Okay. So in the last 5 years, there is an increase of coconut water of 63% in consumption. That's a big number. That's a really big number. It's an impressive number, actually. So here is another category you should be looking at: coconut milk, right? So from 2015 to 2020, it's in 2015, $201 million to now 2020, $315 million is what the market counts for. So this can be something you should be looking at as well, coconut milk. But remember, keep it clear and simple. Go to the wellness market. Do not try to go to the massive market, because you don't stand a chance there, right? Let's talk about the HPP. How the HPP works. HPP stands for high pressurization process. So the high pressurization technology goes all the way back to the 17th century with French scientist Blaise Pascal, who studied the effect of pressure on fluids. Throughout his work, he determined that applying more than 50,000 PSI, PSI stands for pound force per square inch. He realized that he could keep the nutrients and extend the shelf life of a product, right? Still, you will need to have it cold. Product that undergo the HPP process have a reduction in pathogens that cause foodborne illness, because cold water pressure is issued, and HPP has a limited effect on covalent bonds the organoleptic properties of the ingredients are not lost, leaving a product that has the same nutritional taste and texture of a non-processed product. So they started these experiments with milk, and it dates in this 18,090, something like that. And this was like the first machine, and they stopped the whole thing because the machine broke down, and they thought it wasn't going to work. Now in the 1990s, you can see what the machine looks like and what it looks now. It's been evolving because the industry is growing and more products are going into raw. So actually the first product, the first early adopter of HPP technology, guess what was it? Guacamole. So what's the guacamole? So what types of food can be treated with the HPP process? So you have liquid, you have solid, and paste-like, in this case, the guacamole. The guacamole went from 3 days in cold to 30 days. You extended the life 30 days to 30 days. So it's kind of the advantage you need to know about this technology, right? Even though experiments were started so long ago, it's been fully developed now, not in the past. Since 1996, since the first machine came into the US, it's been developing and growing and growing. And you're going to find at market shelves in the fridge much more products that are raw, and people do appreciate the raw because they understand it keeps nutrients. They know the value into one of those products. So what can you pack? What is the packaging? So here is kind of a dilemma. You cannot use glass, or you cannot use aluminum as cans. You need to use mostly plastic. So it's kind of I wouldn't say controversial, but it's a controversy, because you want to go as less plastic as you can, but at the same time, for the amounts being produced, this is not a big impact. It's not a big footprint. However, if you go to carton, or if you go to another material, believe me, there is no perfect material in terms of not leaving a footprint. You can be more eco-friendly, if you want to call it that way, but this is basically how you will be able to pack anything in HPP. So I'm going now into innovation. So one more reason to produce coconut milk, people are looking for virgin coconut oil. So virgin coconut oil, it comes not from the copra, but from coconut milk. That is extracted from the oil is extracted from the fresh coconut milk using cold process, which maintain all natural constituents, aroma, and antioxidants of the oil. So you're keeping all the benefits. That's what consumers want to see. That's what they want to experiment, the benefits. The reason why coconut is a trend, normally trends, they go. Coconut is rare because it's a trend that stays. It just keeps growing. So what makes a trend stay in time, it's that people realizes that what the marketing of the product says is real, it works. So coconut is now considered a superfruit, and it's a superfruit because the what is being marketed, the benefits of coconut works. So people will recommend, hey, you know what, coconut oil really works. And in the past, that wasn't the case. But now people realizes all the benefits of coconut. So that's a trend that will keep growing. This is a brand, is Greenwise is a brand, if you're familiar with Florida grocery stores, Publix. This is the brand from Publix. right? And they just keep growing their own brand. And this is kind of some numbers in metric tons of the coconut oil industry. If you see in 2020, well, 2009 was at its peak, and 2015. But if you go through the years, you see there's a tendency of growing and being stable. So that's a pattern. Now you need to understand that where the differentiation stands is our opportunity. And I find that marketing the coconut oil in a different fashion could be something that will be innovative. And there is this company called Copari. And Copari, what they did, they changed the use of the product. They changed the packaging of the product. They reach out to a different market, that is the cosmetic, but basically what they're packaging is the same coconut oil that we use for cooking or we use for other stuff. And the problem I've noticed in a lot of products in the Caribbean, if there are some of them that try to market the product as a cosmetic, but they still keep packing it in a glass jar as it was a coconut for the kitchen. So sometimes innovation comes in the packaging. It doesn't necessarily has to be a big change that you make. Sometimes just a little twist. Remember, keep it simple. Humans, we tend to relate to something. So if you have carton, people relate to carton because they find it to be eco-friendly. People relate to many things. You need to find what people are relating to, and the acceptance of a product will be a success. I cannot think of a simple product to produce in terms of the process, and in terms of what sometimes we're wondering what to do with the copra. So the coconut chips. Now in the market, I find green peas chips. The wellness market are willing. They are willing to have options. This is a very creative form, I can say, of getting people excited about a product. This brand, the Buddha, what they did is just added some flavor to the coconut chips, but people are trying to keep it simple, having all the nutrients of coconut. And if you're at your office, if you are at home, you're hungry at 10 p.m., you don't want to grab a snack that's, it's not healthy. You need something healthy. You go grab some coconut chips. It's delicious. For real, plain flavor will be the flavor that sells the most. But if you need to make a brand that people gets excited of. Now, look at this, 40 grams. That's not much of coconut chips. Look what the price goes for, $29.28. I mean, that's a lot of money. This was taken from Amazon. So there are brands out there that they're doing, the to-do list, and they're doing it the right way. This is one. Now, remember, look at all the certifications, non-GMO. That's something, that's a marketing strategy. You give it credibility to your product when you go US organic or non-GMO, whatever. You will make a kind of a seal of credibility to your product. So talking about packaging and stuff. Okay, so right now this is our brand, my brand, and Vogue. We started, as says, with the raw coconut water. So to get people excited, we start kind of mixing different trends. So we did mix the trend of collagen. Collagen is trending big time here in the US. Coconut, that's a trend that just keeps growing. And right now we have a total of 13 products. This is one of our latest. This will be hitting the supermarket shelves by April. We hope to be in 400 supermarket. We just made it into Walmart as well. So this is what the kind of innovation you need to start looking at. Packaging made out of carton, coconut with collagen. So the Caribbean, I know Grenada will be produces nutmeg, best nutmeg in the world. That's the way it's marketed, right? Why not mix in nutmeg with coconut and doing a product that, you know, makes you different, but at the same time special, right? So that's the type of things, like in Jamaica, such a good coffee. Why don't we mix coconut with coffee? I was just visiting a grocery store in Texas, and I asked what is the coffee that sells the most, and to my surprise was coconut coffee mixed with coconut chips. That's one of the best sellers. So we have all of this. Why don't take advantage of all of this in the Caribbean, right? Now, I'd like to talk about the distribution. This is a very important factor for you to understand how to enter this market, because normally we tend to listen a lot of people saying, "Oh, you got a distributor. You want to go to the U.S. market? Oh, you got a distributor." And you are, "No, I don't have one. I have to find one." So that's a taboo. You don't need to find a distributor at the beginning. You need to find a buyer from a store, and then he will give you the distributor. So this is the way how it really works. This is a B2B market distribution that I designed for you to understand when coming to the US. So we'll start with you as a vendor. So you as a vendor, you want to get, the first thing you need to get are contacts. Who is going to buy your product? Who's going to be your ally at this side of the world? So the best way to reach out to allies, and the cheapest way, still expensive, but the cheapest way, will be virtual matchmaking. So for virtual matchmaking, there is a company called ECRM. They are specialized in matchmaking for brands like ours. So if you're in this, first of all, you need to identify where your product is going to live. And when I mean when it's going to live, is it going to live in the wellness section? Is going to be from the beverage section? Is going to be grocery? Or is going to be healthy living? What is going to be? You need to identify that. Once you have identified what your product is and who your consumer is going to be, that's the most important part of it. Who is going to be your consumer? Once you have this identified, you go through ECRM, and then they will match make you with buyers, right? If you can combine virtual matchmaking with shows, then you have a big bomb, a really good thing going on. Shows, even though, you know, you always, as entrepreneurs, we dream of having our own booth at a show, and that's very exciting and it must work. For me, shows are all about matchmaking, are all about the meetings you can get, because everyone is going to be at that show. Right now, 2 weeks from now, Expo West in Los Angeles is happening. Is the biggest natural and organic show in the US. All trends are going to be there, but more important, all the people involved in the industry will be there. So that's an opportunity to meet people face to face and try to make your business. So once you go to the shows, you have the virtual making, the matchmaking, then you're gonna try to contact people from the specialty stores. These grocery stores, they're specialized in the type of wellness product we're trying to develop. This will be the retail buyer. So this is the first one you need to really meet. Oh, sorry about that. Let me go back to it. So this is the first one, the first person, the first character. when entering a market at the US, you want to meet the retail buyer. So the retail buyer, if he's interested in your product, he will give you feedback that's very important of your product, and he will tell you what are the main facts you need to better. He's going to ask you questions about your production, about the amounts of your production. He's going to ask you questions, a lot of questions. And one of those questions he's going to ask you is, who is your distributor? So you're going to tell him, I don't have one, but I can go with any distributor you prefer. So your buyer is going to point you out to in the right direction for finding a distributor. So you won't have to go through the struggle of getting a distributor that do not deliver to your buyer, right? Because distributors by their own, it's not going to work. Distributors are not going to sell your product. You need to think about a distributor as a freight company. They'll store your product and deliver. That's what they do. They do not promote. They do not market your product. They just distribute. Think about it as a freight company. That's what they do, right? So your distributor will have your buyer will tell you who is his or her distributor, and you will save a lot of time, a lot of money, right? Because normally big retail stores, they tend to have maybe 5 to 10 distributors. So maybe you already have one, but they don't deliver to that store, and they're not going to receive them because for them it's just too much. They're carrying tens of thousands of products. One more distributor is just a headache for them. So they'll point you out to their distributor. Then you will have to import that product. Your distributor will ask you those type of questions, where your product is coming from, the amounts. They're going to ask you for, some type of promotion. That's for sure. And that promotion is called the marketing, right? So just to give you an example, if you thinking to getting Whole Foods, that I know is like one of the most popular specialty stores in the US, and the one we tend to listen more when you're outside the US. Well, you can have the right product, but you need to have the right budget for getting into the store, especially if your product is new. So once you go to Whole Foods and you have, they will ask you, of course, for their distributor that is called Unify, and they will ask you, okay, the product is perfect. It has all the requirements. You have your UPC, you have all those specifics, covered. They will ask you for now your marketing strategies at that store. So that marketing strategy is going to include tasting. As I always say, you can have the solution for AIDS, but if you don't give people a taste of it, you're not going to sell. So when you come to products that people want to buy, products that you need to eat or drink, you need to get that product into people's mouth, so they know your product is delicious, right? Or they like it. Then the BOGO stands for buy one, get one free. That's part of the promotion you're gonna need to have. And then you're gonna have discount coupons. So these three things, you need to have in place a budget if you're planning to go into big grocery stores, specialty stores as Whole Foods. So this marketing budget goes for around $60,000 per year. So if you're planning to go first to knock the door on Whole Foods, remember, you're gonna need at least $60,000 in marketing money, just in marketing, okay? Then, and I will explain why I did it this way. into the B2B distribution channel, I also included the e-commerce platforms. So e-commerce stands for any transaction you do digital. And I selected 3 that I find that will be the main brands you will have to go through if you're going to e-commerce platforms and you want to have certain type of success. Walmart definitely is, after Amazon, the marketplace that's selling the most. But when it comes to food and beverage products, they're the #1. And then you have Shopify. You're gonna need to have your website on this platform, because that way you'll be assured that your platform is gonna be working all year long and will not crash that when you start receiving a lot of sales. You need it to be working. You need your website to be seen, to be out there. And so Shopify, I strongly recommend. Then you have Amazon, that we all know what Amazon stands for, right? So what is the catch? The catch, again, you're gonna need marketing money. This by its own is not gonna work. You're gonna need someone to help you out through the struggle of getting your product in place, getting the best search engine optimization. And for that search engine optimization, you're gonna need a budget. Your budget is gonna be around $800 per month if you get a good price, a good discount with some engine optimization company that will handle your keywords, will handle your promos, will handle your fulfillment center, right? Then you go Shopify again, you need to push promos through your website, through Shopify. Then you go Amazon. Amazon does more money right now selling to companies publicity in their own platform that that in the product, right? So just for you to have in mind, keep in mind, you're gonna need promo money. So how it works, Amazon is gonna charge you by click. The thing is that out of 10 clicks, you're probably gonna get 1 to 2 sales. That's between 10 to 20% conversion. So this promo, as I said, you're gonna need to pay for ads in Amazon to be in front of the page. So like if you're looking for a word as coconut, it's gonna cost you $3 per click. $3 just clicking. That's not for sale, per click. This is what Amazon is gonna charge you. Just for you to have in mind, you're gonna need a budget for this. Finally, this is a B2C e-commerce distribution. So this will be more, you need to create your brand. You need to have everything in place that what accounts for a brand. You need to set up your website. You need to have your social media going on, and you need to have your targeting. So targeting is something, again, you're gonna need a budget for publicity. You're gonna need a budget for promo your website on Google. So it comes out, it pops up first when they say coconut water. You have to be there. So that way you'll create sales. You're gonna need publicity for social media. You know, you need to showcase your product, show it to the public, and you're gonna have to put a budget for ads. Same thing for targeting. The way targeting works is I look for a word, let's say coconut. So each time the algorithm I already knows I was looking for the word coconut, so it's gonna pop up. Oh shucks, pop up my brand for that person interested in coconut products, right? Again, you're gonna need to promo all of this, right? And then you get the conversion. For a company I don't know the size of your company, but I'm just trying to think it's gonna be a small company. This is the way to go. This is where you need to put your pennies, here. here, because you're gonna have more control of your of the market, of your sales, of your production. Because if you go to a big grocery store, specialty store, as let's say Whole Foods, it's not just the amount of money you're going to be putting into it. You don't know how the POs, the purchase orders, are coming. So you need to test the waters first. And for testing the waters, the best way to go is go to build your brand, make a website. Remember, when making a website, try to do it through Shopify. Build your social media, build your image, and building a brand takes time. So be patient. Be patient. When we are entrepreneurs, we will like our product to pop up right away. It takes time. I'm pretty sure you all know that by now. I learned it the hard way. So it takes time. You need to be patient. But the way to penetrate this market, it will be through the B2C. See how people respond, how consumers respond to your product. You need to get a lot of information, a lot of feedback to better your product, to better your packaging. And then you will have listened to the market that at the end of the day is the one who's going to buy. And that's the only one you need to listen to. Listen to the market. So this is the best way. This is the path I do recommend for y'all to try out before reaching out to big grocery stores. Prove that your product is the right product for this market. And if you do it this way, believe me, you won't have a big loss if something goes wrong. And don't get me wrong, your mindset has to be the mindset of a winner. But small companies, like the reason why most small companies don't succeed is because mistakes are going to be done at all level. But if they're made in the startup or young timing of a company, is when we cannot take the punch, we cannot take the hit. So you need to be sure to minimize those hits to the minimum. And this is the way to go if you want to resist any hits that come, but because believe me, they are coming. So that's my recommendation. And that's my presentation. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, I'll be willing to answer. And this is all my I don't know why it's not my social media here, but social media is Derek Newell all around. There you can follow me and ask any questions you want to. I have some questions on the chat when you'll be here, William. Okay, William, it's all to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Derek. Very interesting presentation. I like how you got everyone excited about the new trends, the high prices in the US, and then boom, the real picture about all the different steps that you need to take into account if you want to sell to the US. As we all know, the US is one of the most important markets worldwide, but of course, it's also very demanding in terms of the packaging, of the labeling, of the requirements, adapting to the new trends, etc. So very important point that Derek mentioned is trying to be unique. As we all know, the Asian markets, they basically own all the massive markets. In the US, they have the highest prices, they are the most efficient, they already know the business. So we as Caribbean, we need to be targeting at the niche market, having a unique proposition, having our own value addition, if you want to get into this US market. So please go ahead, raise your hand, or put the question in the chat, and then I will be happy to give you the word. Thank you very much, Derek, again. As he said, he has learned the hard way of how to do business in the US, so take advantage of his experience. And Rakuma, did you turn on your video because you have a question? Yes, let me unmute you so you can go ahead, please.
Oh, hello. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
This is Raj Kumar. I am
Good-
Jocasta.
Good afternoon.
Our company is Rayo Trades. We are in the coconut business already in Guyana. We export coconuts to Dominican Republic. That is after export to United States as coconut milk. We are thinking in a future to have our own coconut milk plant in Guyana. And of course, our market will be United States. Saying that, exactly the question that you already mentioned is that Derek already mentioned what is the process of to put your product there. But what are the customs requirements needed for this kind of products to get into the United States?
I'm sorry, can you just repeat the question? I didn't get it.
She mentioned about the customs requirements for to enter in the U.S. market.
For putting your products into the U.S. market.
The what?
customs.
Sorry, I just got mixed up. The what?
Customs.
Oh, okay.
Customs
Oh, I'm
requirements.
sorry. So here it is. You won't believe it, but coming into the US is not that complicated. But what you're gonna need for sure is that wherever your facility you're producing at, you're gonna need the FDA registration. So sometimes FDA takes a little bit long, and they're very trustful people. Like here in the US, things are done by faith, by good faith. Don't lie to them, because if you get caught lying, you're gonna suffer the consequences. But it's done by good faith. So if you're importing anything to the US and you say to the FDA, listen, this is I definitely have all the requirements to produce here in for my product to go into the US, because I fulfill all the FDA requirements, then they'll believe you. But they're coming and visit at some point. So you need to be prepared, right? So it's not as difficult as you think it is, right? I know where we come from. Importing anything is more difficult, but to the US, this is a country that basically it's made out of trade back and forth. So it's not that difficult. You're gonna need to register your plant, your facility, with the FDA. And if you when the I don't know when the study is out, I wrote a whole entire chapter of what to do with all the links, where to go, where is the law, everything is there. So yeah, someone William just shared the link on the chat, so you can check it out, and then you can read it. But in the study, you can see specifics for this. You need to cover also label requirements. So it's going to tell you what has to be in the label, like the nutrition facts. If it's a supplement fact, it's a different type of label. If where the expiration date has to go, the size of the brand, the size of the product you're announcing or you're trying to sell. You need to be careful with what you say, because this is the country of the suing. Here they'll sue you for anything. Very important. You're gonna need insurance liability. Okay, so that insurance liability is something you need to be covered. I know it's gonna sound scary. Don't be scared. Liability goes up to $10 million in liability. So you need an insurance. Hold on. Don't worry about it. That's the liability they're gonna ask for. You will be paying around depending on your product, $4,000 to $6,000 per year for that liability. So don't be scared. It's payable. But just for you to know what is the type of liability the supermarkets are looking for. So once again, go through the e-commerce. If you go through e-commerce, you won't have those expenses at the beginning, right? If you go directly to the buyer is going to say, yes, I want your product. I mean, it doesn't happen that fast, but if it happens, they will exact you the liability. As small companies, I mean, we count the pennies. $4,000 could be a lot of money for a startup in the US, especially with a market so crowded and so competitive. So if you're trying to get into the United States, go first, try out the e-commerce platform, build your platform, try to get in Walmart Marketplace, try to get in Amazon first, and then the next step will be going to retail stores and distributors.
Yes, go ahead. You cannot unmute. Let me go ahead. Yes.
Sorry to.
Yes, go ahead. No worries. Yes.
But one more question. Is a possibility of exporting to United States? Nothing is more raw than the coconut itself.
Yeah.
Than the dried coconut.
Yeah.
Is there companies for production or supermarkets that will need that
Already are.
dried coconut?
The coconut
Already are.
fruit.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And here's the thing. Let me see if I can share an image. Here's the thing. The thing is that companies that are succeeded in this way of introducing coconut, what they've been doing is giving it shapes. So there is, search it up, there is a company called Coconut Cartel, right? The Coconut Cartel. I not even know if they still exist. But however, what they were doing were branding on a Coconut Cartel. Just, it looks stupid, but that's what people were looking for. So they were
A label on coconut?
on the coconut.
It's a label on coconut?
Let me try to find it for you. Hold on.
Okay.
Oh, okay, I need to stop sharing this. Let's stop sharing this.
Yeah, I found it. I can show it here.
Okay, yep, so Coconut Cartel. Let's try to go for it here.
Do you see it?
There you go.
Derek?
There you go. See how they branded? See how they branded? And the way how they marketed was for like the big, nicest hotels in Miami, and they used to relate it to rum. You know, in the Caribbean, we love a good rum with coconut, right? With
Of
coconut
course,
water,
of course.
right? So that's what they were doing.
Rum and coconut.
So if
And
you,
what about also the water, the coconut water? We were thinking about having the coconut water that you just have to put the straw on it.
right?
And
Others just leave the coconut in the copra and they peel off all the shell, right?
That's it.
So that's another way to do it. Another way to do it is just they make the form like it was a crown, and they peel off just the skin, and they leave the whole fiber, so it stays white. And they put it. It comes a long way. It comes from Thailand, and they put it into like this kind of carton web, and they put it into plastic. Those goes directly to shelves. That goes direct to shelves into the supermarkets. That's a supermarket product. The one I showed you, Coconut Cartel, that goes directly to hotels and restaurants, fancy hotels, fancy restaurants. The peeling is super complicated, and the branding on it is super complicated. So it has a lot of value, but you get them, you'll sell them for sure. The one we just described, that one goes to supermarket shelves.
Supermarkets, yes. Good, thank you.
No problem.
Thank you for your questions. So Derek, we have Desmond, also an entrepreneur from San Lucia. He first is thanking you for the presentation. It was very good.
Thank you.
And then he's asking for other suggestions for branding, other than you have mentioned already. What do you think can be some tips that we can share with the participants today for branding their product in the US?
Make a name that is related to your product. That will save you half the hassle. Because normally, like, there is no sense of having XYZ product, let's say, I don't know, anyone. And then you put a name that's not related to coconut. You need to do something that's related to your product, whatever it is. If it's coconut water, coconut milk. Second, once you have that name, go into the USPTO. USPTO stands for United States Pattern Trademark. Just Google it. Go to the USPTO, and that name that you have for your brand in your mind, go to the search engine, look it up, make sure it's not already taken, because you won't believe how difficult it is to have a brand name that is not taken. I mean, there is, you'll see we had to go. I launched my brand. It was called Evoke. This is just to give you an example. Evoke, and we won all these prizes with Evoke. We even were at Shark Tank with Evoke, and all this noise with Evoke. A year later, when we were trying to register Evoke, it turns out that the USPTO said, "Oh no, you cannot register this brand, because there is a brand that's not selling in the US, but it's a Finland brand that is, even though they're not selling, is registered in the US." So imagine, I had, once again, to learn the hard way, right? So I had to start practically from scratch. So what we did to the name, we cut the E, right? We put a U and we call it Vogue. And I said, I made up that name. It means nothing. And I said, you know what? I'm going to register this name. And I mean, I made it up. Who could even think about something that's called Vogue? Guess what? It was already registered as well, right? Fortunately for me, it was not registered in the same category. It was registered as a car parts. So because of this, I was able to register, because it has nothing to do. So you're fine if it has nothing to do, if it's not the same industry. So I was lucky. But go and whatever pops up in your mind, that good idea of that good name, search it up at the USPTO before going further. Okay.
Thank you, Derek. We have another question from Shanita. Shanita is our ITC coordinator in Dominica. There are many coconut oil producers in Dominica and cosmetics, and she's asking if you can speak a bit about the trends and requirements for distribution of coconut-based products such as handmade soap containing coconut cream.
Listen, I can tell you about that. So here's what we used to do at my company. We used to take out the coconut water, right? Once we take out the coconut water, we used to get the coconut milk. This coconut milk we used to mix with olive oil, canola oil, palm oil, castor oil, and we did the most amazing soaps you can imagine. It was such a good product. And then I'm also from an island. So in the island, we had a problem with cardboard, and we used to recycle the cardboard that was really clean cardboard, and we made this spectacular packaging for the coconuts. Listen, this is a good market. This is a very good market. Look into cosmetics. It's growing fast and furious. I'm serious about it. So look at it closely. I think one of the most important things you need to have, though, is a competitive price. There is where the difference is. Check out this brand called Lush, Lush, and they do handcrafted cosmetics from all kind of fruits and vegetables. But it's really good brand if you're looking at who you want to look like in the future. Look at Lush. They're trending. They have cool. So there you go. Yes, I'm familiar. Exactly. So that's like kind of the example of what you would like to develop, right? Entering, like, once again, the good part of let's say soap, you don't have like the pressure of an expiration date as it is for products that you have to consume, right? To ingest. This one will give you more, how I say, you'll be more comfortable storing that product and distributing that product. You don't gonna have the same pressure of the FDA for cosmetics as you're gonna have for products of ingest. So definitely cosmetic is something I'll be looking at. And yeah, Lush, look, you already know the brand. That's a good brand to look at, definitely.
Thank you very much, Derek. I don't see any other questions in the chat, or please, this is
No
this is your
problem.
chance to ask Derek directly. Of course, as you know, we are implementing this project in the Caribbean, and we would like to support Caribbean entrepreneurs to enter the US market. That's why Derek is also supporting us in finding these tricks that we need to take into account. We have discussed a lot with Derek about the possibility to go to a trade fair. He mentioned the West Expo, which of course is in March, but because of the COVID, we cannot plan in advance. But one of the things that also Derek mentioned in his presentation is a lot of your brand image. And something that we have discussed a lot is the pitch. You need to be able to pitch, to sell your company, to share your value proposition to these customers in the United States. So we're going to continue developing this study with Derek. We don't want to make it a long publication, more as a guideline to help entrepreneurs in the region to understand more about the market and to understand more about the trends, the channels of distribution, the e-commerce part, etc. As you know, e-commerce after the pandemic grew a lot, specifically. And then, of course, there's also more appetite for health products. The coconuts, as Derek has said, is being advertised as a superfood. So we still believe there is a trend. We know that the trends, the growth trends of the coconut water, it has been a bit stabilized a bit, because we know that 3, 4, 5 years ago there was a rush for coconut water. The market is still growing, not as much as 4 or 5 years ago, but we do see that the market is still growing. So yes, we will make sure to share the presentation of Derek, and then also the draft report, also for you to share your feedback as well, and any questions that you can have for us. We will be happy to support. I don't see any last takers for any questions or questions in the chat. So with this, I would like to thank you all for participating. And please don't hesitate to reach out for any follow-up question. You have our contacts, you have all of our social media in the Alliances for Action email. There's a last question from Debian. I don't know if you know about this, Derek, about the cost of the HPP equipment for these entrepreneurs in the Caribbean.
Okay, so
while you respond, I will just launch a quick poll, just for you can help us to improve in our sessions, and also to hear more about your feedback. So while you respond, Derek, please, colleagues, if you can respond to that feedback form that would appear in your screen. So yes, go ahead, Derek. About the HPP cost of the equipment, how much,
sorry, so
much it is.
Okay, so here you go with HPP. Here is what I recommend, strongly recommend. And this is another line of business, get someone or get together and buy one machine that can produce for all of you. Because if not, it's going to be too expensive. I do not know the cost of the machinery, but in the presentation, if you have it, that's let me see that there's the name of the company right there. VP something is the name of it, and you could go there and find out for the price. But there is still some other thing you can do. try to figure out if you can bring the raw product into the US. That's another way to do it. And find a HPP co-packer here in the USA. A co-packer will save you, again, a lot of struggle. If you go through a co-packer, that will means that you just be focusing on your brand and on your product, and you would not have to go through the expense of buying a machine and you know, the learning curve of how to handle it, and you're just gonna put some more pressure on yourself. Try to be focused on what you're doing. You're either a brand, you're either a producer, you're a distributor. What are you? Figure out what are you gonna be in the industry, and then you say, you know what? Probably just gonna get a machine and co-pack for everyone in the Caribbean. That's a way to go, right? Or I'm gonna try out my product. I'm gonna find a co-packer first in the USA. I'll try out if it works, or if you find out the name of the company, as I said, it's in the presentation. You go there and you can write them an email, and they will give you the cost of their machine. So those are the three paths. Those people will also let you know who they sold machines to, and maybe someone is willing to get rid of a second-hand machine, a used machine, and you get it cheaper as well. All right. So those are the things you could be looking at.
Thank you very much, Derek. Thank you, Debbie-Ann, for the question. Definitely is well, not already new technology, but one that is adapted to the trends in the US markets. So again, thank you very much, colleagues, for joining this Alliance for Action webinar. Today on the US coconut markets. As you know, we will continue to organize this type of events, also to help you with the production level, commercialization, marketing, etc. So thank you, of course, for participating, and of our donors and partners, especially the European Union, the CARIFORM Directorate, and the OACPS. So as you've seen, the webinar is being recorded, so definitely we'll share the link with the recording with you, and then also the presentation. So thank you, Derek, very much for the useful presentation. We will be sure to follow up. I'm sure there will be other follow-up questions after the session ends. And thank you for the participation. Have a great day.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your time and for